Hey everyone, this is Dean Esser, and you are listening to the Exactly What You Need podcast. 10 years ago, I started personal training people on the side for $12 an hour. Began bodybuilding not too long after that. That developed into the weight loss industry, and I now have a company, Ewyn Weight Loss Studios, which has almost 50 locations across Canada. Today, we are going to talk about carbs. Are they good or are they bad?
Yes. Yeah, that's a debate, an ongoing debate. I know it, Atkins really started this topic, and I know there's people on opposing sides of the fence. So what's your opinion, Dean? Are carbs good or are carbs bad?
Well, obviously, it depends on the variation of carbs. The reason carbohydrates have gotten such a bad rap is because the ones that are bad for you are really, really bad for you. They increase weight gain dramatically. So I think that's why they've gotten such a bad rap, because when people say, well, I've been eating a lot of carbs, and that's when I find I gain the weight, is what carbs they're eating are, say, breads, they're eating pastas, they're eating things along those lines, and that's what's actually increasing the weight gain. So carbs are actually good if you're eating the right ones for the right reason at the right times. Complex carbs such as oatmeal, sweet potato, yams, steel cut oats, different things along those lines can provide a ton of energy for you and actually help with weight loss too as well. I think the big thing is when you refer to carbs, people think of those bad carbs, even chips, things along those lines. That's what people are really thinking about when it comes to carbohydrates. They're not so much thinking about, oatmeal or things along those lines. So I think that's why they get such a bad rap, really.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, food science tells us there's complex carbs and there's simple carbs. And you touched on the complex carbs, whole grains, this type of thing. On the side of simple carbs, you're looking more like processed sugars, things that you'd find in sweet cereals and confectionery type products. I hear you. They're simple carbs are awful. There's no debate on that one. Big cause of inflammation, and based on this grand topic, big cause for weight gain. So basically, why don't you tell us a little bit about a dietary regimen that you would promote at Ewyn to steer people away from those simple carbs, direct them more to these good carbs we'll refer to as complex carbs?
Well, yeah, I mean, as the meal plan goes, really a good combination of fats, carbohydrates, and protein. You really need all of those when it comes to your body functioning. And I think a lot of people steer away from the carbs because they tend to go for those bad carbs when they are craving them. And a lot more people are looking at either no or low carb, or they're looking at proteins and fats. Now, the reason why a lot of people like the protein and fats is because fats soothe you. They make you feel full. They make you feel more satisfied. But you can also have bad fats as well that do the exact same thing as bad carbs. It's just with the fats, it seems to soothe people more. So I think a good combination of carbohydrates and fats is a key to weight loss and to more of a sustainable meal plan that you can do as you continue your lifestyle on. And that's what we really try and promote at Ewyn, is to try and give you this diverse meal plan regimen that you can actually utilize all of these things with, proteins, carbs, fats. And I think one thing that people forget, because we always focus on breads and chips and things along those lines, is that vegetables are carbohydrates too, and fruits are carbohydrates too. Now, they are a different form of them and how we utilize them and nutrients wise and whatnot, but those are carbohydrates too as well, and people don't really think of it that way. And the other thing is, I think a lot of people think of fats, when you look at the portion of fat that you have, it's so small compared to the portion of carbohydrate, so they think there's a better chance of them losing weight. However, some of those fats are actually more calories than the carbohydrates. Now, I'm not saying they're bad, but I think people have that misconception of sometimes they feel like if they're eating less, then they're losing more, and that's not necessarily a direct correlation.
Right. So let's talk about the convenience factor. I know personally, if you're hungry and you've got a craving for carbs, it's easy to reach out for a bag of chips. You're not going to think about how you're about to, steam some, some brown rice. You just need a quick fix. How do you simplify these meal plans for your clients?
Well, obviously, the quick fix is the easy thing. It's really about preparation and giving them a variety of foods that they can pick. So, if you do have time to make some different complex carbs, you can definitely do the dietary plan that way, but also giving options for some things that are a little quicker on the go, if at all possible, because we do realize it's an on the go society. We're all very, very busy, or feel we're very, very busy with what we have on the go. And I think you need to give a variety and then also help pre-plan some of these meals. I understand this isn't bodybuilding, and we're not making 1,000 containers here and shrink wrapping our food and whatnot too as well. But a little bit of preparation can give you that much better results in the end. And I think we prep in different ways for a bad lifestyle sometimes, compared to what we're trying to prep for a good lifestyle. And what I mean by that is, how many times have you been sitting at home and you'll order a pizza, which takes an hour, hour and a half to get there? Whereas if you just got up and made something, it would only take 20 minutes to a half an hour. I think we really have to look at that time frame of how much it's putting into people, really.
Well, I guess, pre-planning would be another way of looking at it. Sitting down on a Sunday afternoon and just scratching down, maybe a list of groceries that you should be buying, instead of, impulsively buying groceries when you go to shop. But, actually doing a meal plan, if you have that written in front of you, that you can refer to as the week goes on, it's a whole lot easier to make good use of your time. Whereas, like you said, sure, a pizza, I guess depending on where you order your pizza from, but a pizza can take a while to get there. You could make a full proper meal in the same amount of time. But we're a lazy society, and people at the end of a long day, the last thing they want to do is think about what they're going to make. They're like, I'll just dial this number and a pizza will arrive. Do you encourage people to create their own plans, maybe based on what you put in front of them? Or is it simply just follow this plan?
It's a combination of both. It's here's what you have to eat. The biggest problem is people don't know how to put it together, and that's where we come into play. That's where health coaching comes into play, is they don't really know how to put this all together. And I think that's the biggest problem. If you walk out into the street today and ask 100 people what are 20 healthy things to eat, they can all tell you. The issue is they can't put it together. It's very dieting or meal planning to people is very confusing. And I'm not exactly sure entirely why, but if you haven't done it before, it seems like so much work. But in the end, once you get used to it, it's actually not that much work. It's like you're maybe, I guess, to refer to something different, and maybe you won't think this is irrelevant. It's like having one child. The first time you have it, it's just crazy. After you have one or two or three and you understand how to do it, it's that much easier to really do it, to understand what you're going to get. And I think it's really trying to get people to understand how to prep. It's just they don't know what to do to be successful planning wise. And that's where we come into play. That's where health coaching comes into play, because you really need to set people up for success. And to people, I always say it's like science to people. Science to me, it didn't matter how much I studied, how much I looked at it, it was confusing. Now math came very easily to me. So I always find, to me, I always say it's like science. No matter how much you explained it to me, I didn't really get it unless you sat me down and planned what was going to happen and how we were going to do it together. And I think that's the biggest thing, is it seems like it takes so much more time, but actually, if you know how to do it properly, it doesn't actually take that much time. And if you plan for success, how you said, people come home and order a pizza or order something along those lines, and it's just easy. But if you were already set up for success, you come home and your meal's technically ready. You just heat it up, or it's in the crock pot, or, just depending which option you're looking at.
Right, right. And so basically your meal plans are set out. It basically states what it is, as far as the macronutrients required or recommended, I should say. Then it's a matter of making it taste good. I know some people are good in the kitchen and some people aren't so good in the kitchen. I guess everyone can get a little bit better. I think it's a good way to spend time with a family and, experiment with different stuff and play around and have some fun. As far as your child comment, I'm going to say, the second one is always easier because you have the first one to take care of the second child, but that's off topic. So I'm going to keep moving on here. So no, that's awesome. I think that's great. And that's what a lot of people need is just, a book for dummies. Just follow this and, add these spices or add these, these different inclusions to make a dish taste good. Now, just kind of my last thought on this. I know some people have a hard time digesting carbs. Carbs don't necessarily feel good always. It can create bloating. It can create gas. What are your comments as far as enzymes? Enzymes such as amylase and lactase. Do you recommend supplementing perhaps with some of these enzymes when balancing out a meal plan that has a good amount of carbs?
Yeah, we obviously have a product, a digestive enzyme that assists with that. I think there are people who definitely do get more bloated off of carbohydrates, even if they are the good ones. Everybody's body is a bit different, so how they absorb them, how they utilize them is different. What I have found from my experience with working with people is that generally you will still find complex carbs that just work better for your system. So whether that's, for instance, Ryan, you eat brown rice and that works really good for you, but when you eat a sweet potato, not so much. Whereas I eat a sweet potato, it works really good for me. Brown rice might make me feel more bloated. I think if you try the different complex carbs that are better for you, you will find that one will work better, or a few of them will work better for you than the other ones. And you will in turn, I guess that's one thing as from my competing days that I used to do is I would actually find there were certain carbohydrates based on when I was going through my dietary regimen that worked better at certain times, and ones that just naturally always worked better for me for weight loss, for muscle gain, all different things along those lines. So I think it's really just depending on the person. In general, everyone loses weight the same. But there are things where, more fats for different people, more carbohydrates for different people. I know if I go on just a pure fat-based diet, for me, I don't go to the washroom all that much, whereas if I go to carbohydrates, then I definitely go to the washroom more. But I also find if I do more fat-based at the start and switch over to carbohydrate-based diet, that really helps increase how well I burn those carbohydrates off too as well. So I think there's all different theories behind it and body types, but I think, as you said, is those digestive enzymes are a huge, huge help for anyone that does feel bloating on carbohydrates that aren't breads and pastas and processed foods. You definitely utilizing a digestive enzyme is a massive, massive tool, and obviously a good one at that too as well.
And then an indigestible carb such as a fiber. I mean, we can't speak enough about fiber. It's absolutely critical in just maintaining a healthy body. It's something I certainly look for when I'm reading labels is what is the fiber content. If you see 0 fiber, it's probably not a good thing. So
yeah, I think the one thing to clarify on carbohydrates too as well is that the good and the bad we absorb very, very quickly, which means we do store a lot of them for fat. So that's why they get such a bad rap. Whereas the good carbohydrates we absorb over, 2.5, 3, 4 hours. That gives our body time to burn them off and utilize them as energy.
And to finish on that too, back to fiber. It just get that stuff out of you. Just let's move on, so to speak.
Fiber definitely plays a role in getting that food out. As we've spoken before, whatever goes in has to go out. So to recap, yeah, definitely carbs are good as long as you're eating the right kind. And if they have great fiber content, that's just going to help you with your weight loss journey as well. Thank you for listening with us today. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Please share with your friends. If you have any questions, any topics you'd like us to cover, please email us at podcasts@ewynstudios.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Dean_Esser. And thank you once again.